good evening. Our top stories tonight. Well, first, my cat is just going wild right now. But the real top story is the Cleveland Browns and how they've gone from a team that was an up and comer with Baker Mayfield at quarterback and building, taking all of the cap space and all of the assets that Sashi Brown had acquired and kind of just squandered them. Squandered them for years, put them in a weird position where they were a will they, won't they, they're flirting with the playoffs. And then, of course, as he always does, Jimmy Haslam jumped the gun. As many NFL teams can attest, ownership ruined everything because ownership comes in and says, no, we need Deshaun Watson. I don't care about all these future first-round picks. I don't care what it'll do to our cap. We need Deshaun Watson because we need to win. And now Baker Mayfield isn't doing it well enough, even though he was hurt. So get him out of here and get Deshaun Watson in. So that's where the Browns are at now. They had a disappointing season, but I mean, anyone who with eyes and anyone that was actually paying attention knew that it was going to be a bad year for the Browns. And then Deshaun Watson comes back and it stays a bad year for the Browns. Jacoby Brissett actually outplayed Deshaun Watson. But now, with a full offseason together, Deshaun Watson, the Browns, Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, all of them working together to see if they can make the Browns relevant again. Can they do it? We'll find out on Player Profiler Today. And so the Cleveland Browns are in a bad position right now because of this Deshaun Watson trade. Deshaun Watson has the highest cap hit in the NFL. I believe it's $54 million. So we talk about how quarterback contracts, Daniel Jones, he's worth $35 million because that's only 15% of the salary cap. That's only 15%. A little bit less if we're being honest. Deshaun Watson, on the other hand, that $53 million cap hit, that's about a 25% cap hit for Deshaun Watson, a quarterback who did not play well to end last year. And now they are minus $14.5 million in cap space. That is 10th worst in the NFL, 6th worst in the AFC. They are one of 14 teams that are over the cap as things stand currently. Today, February 11th, Saturday. So how do they get under the cap? There's one cut they can make that makes sense, and it doesn't really make sense. They would cut starting nose tackle Jordan Elliott, save $2.7 million. That's not going to do it. So no, the Browns are going to have to go full New Orleans Saints and hit everyone with the restructure. Deshaun Watson, you can restructure for about $33 million. Amari Cooper, you can restructure for about $14 million. Myles Garrett will save you $12 million. Wyatt Teller will save you $8 million. Can save $7 million from restructuring Joel Bitonio, 6.6 from restructuring safety John Johnson, and 4.8 million from restructuring Nick Chubb. So there's actually lots of avenues for the Browns to clear up some salary cap space. They're going to be fine. But remember, these are restructures. The cap just doesn't magically go away all of a sudden. It gets pushed down the road and pushed down the road and pushed down the road even further until one day you're the New Orleans Saints. You're $60 million over the cap and you're still trying to run it back with Derek Carr. So is that the destiny for the Cleveland Browns, knowing that they have no money? They're going to have to borrow from future years. Is that what we're looking at? And can they rebuild from the draft? Because they still have their second round pick this year. They have their third round pick this year. They have 2 fourth round picks, actually, their own. And they got an extra 4th round pick for the hiring of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah by the Minnesota Vikings. Kwesi, of course, came from the Cleveland Browns front office. So they got an extra 4th. They have an extra 5th round pick from trading Troy Hill to the Rams in another cap saving move. And then they have their 6th and their 7th. So the Browns, despite the load they gave up for Deshaun Watson, they are not dead in draft picks. They're still looking pretty good. 2 picks in the top 100, 1 pick in the top 50. It's not as bad as you expect when a team trades away a haul like they did. But where does that leave this team going forward? Because we know that this trade was made with Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, thinking, I must win now. I'm the owner. I want it. Do it. This is not a move that Kevin Stefanski would have made. This is not a move that Andrew Barry, the general manager of the Browns, would have made. They were slow, they were methodical, they were patient. They had this Browns organization running almost like the Lions, where year after year, you just make the correct decision. You load up in the trenches with Myles Garrett. You load up on the offensive line with all pros across the board. You load up for the Cleveland Browns. Now, they didn't lose their center, but still, you load up on the trenches and you build around and give whatever new quarterback comes in a team that they can win with. Now, we learned quickly that Baker Mayfield was not the quarterback to elevate the Browns. And so I have no issue with them moving on from Baker. The problem is how they did it. The problem is going for Deshaun Watson, going all in. Because if this was left to Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski, they would have gone for a quarterback. It just wouldn't have been Deshaun Watson. It would have been a middle tier quarterback. Maybe they stick with Baker for another year. Maybe they let Jacoby Brissett start for the whole season and they have more money to build around him. Well, I guess it didn't really matter this year because Watson's cap hit was nil this year. But you know what I'm trying to say. The Browns bungled this, and it is not the fault of Andrew Barry. It's not the fault of Kevin Stefanski. They did everything right. And yet, because of an impatient owner, they might both be on the hot seat. I feel it's more likely that Stefanski's on the hot seat. I have to imagine Andrew Barry is safe because he's just making the picks that the owner wants. But clearly, Jimmy Haslam expects more than the Browns missed in the playoffs. So if they do again, Kevin Stefanski may unjustly be fired. I believe in Kevin Stefanski. I like him as a head coach. I like Andrew Barry as a general manager. This has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the ego of another billionaire. And this is just the case across the NFL. We see all the time. Oh, I'm going to keep my hands off of it. It's going to be the general manager is going to run the team and the coach is going to coach. And then all of a sudden you see Stephen Ross meddling with the Miami Dolphins and Dan Snyder meddling with the Commanders. And at least Jerry Jones is honest about his meddling. No, we're not going to have a general manager because that's me. I'm the billionaire. I want to make all my picks. Whereas the rest of these guys, they're lurking in the shadows, just blaming everyone else for when it goes wrong. And when it goes right, I get the trophy first. Just so backwards, so frustrating. And just when the people of Cleveland were getting what they deserve, a competent football team, one that could excite them, Jimmy Haslam goes and blows it up. So what does the Browns need in 2023? What do the orange and brown helmet need for this coming season? Well, they need a backup quarterback because Jacoby Brissett is a free agent. Hopefully he gets a starting job somewhere. I am team Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully he can start. Maybe he goes to the Cardinals, starts for Kyler Murray in the short term. They also need a backup, though, because Kellen Mond is not the answer at backup. Kellen Mond, third-round draft pick by the Minnesota Vikings, did not pan out. Now he's here in Cleveland. He's a developmental quarterback at best. They need a third running back, and that's if they believe in Jerome Ford. Because Jerome Ford, he's the only non-free agent. Dearness Johnson, free agent. Kareem Hunt, free agent. Both of those running backs are free agents, and so Jerome Ford is going to be thrust into the lineup. Now, we saw this past year that Nick Chubb truly became a bell cow, so I don't know how much we'll see Jerome Ford. It won't be anywhere near the clip that Kareem Hunt got used for years, but Jerome Ford, RB2 for the Cleveland Browns, that gets me excited. They need help at tight end, or at least tight end 3, because Pharaoh Brown, the blocking tight end, he's on his way out. They still have Njoku. They still have Harrison Bryant. So these are all smaller needs on the offense. They need a center because their center is a free agent. Ethan Pochik and Yalta Froholt both are free agents, but neither of them was the initial starter for the season. It was supposed to be Nick Harris. He's coming back off of a season-ending knee injury. So maybe the Browns are fine. Maybe they're set completely at offensive line, and they just need depth to replace their backup center and their backup guard/center, Yalta Froholt. But the defense needs some help. They need a replacement for Jadeveon Clowney, obviously. That's a big one. They need defensive tackle help because Taven Bryant, their starter, is a free agent, though they may opt to just replace him in-house with Perrion Winfrey, the third-round pick, I believe, out of Oklahoma last year. So There's in-house options, but they need depth. They need depth on the edge. Even if they're going to replace Jadeveon Clowney with Alex Wright, last year's third-round pick, you still need a little bit more help than that because Chase Winovich is a free agent too. Linebacker is an absolute mess. The Browns had so many injuries at linebacker this past year. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he is back and he is a starter, but Deion Jones, he filled in at the end of the year. He's a free agent. Anthony Walker, he's coming off a torn patellar tendon and he's a free agent. Sion Takitaki, he's coming off a torn ACL and he's a free agent. Jordan Kuznasik, he's a free agent, special teamer who filled in at the end of the year. Jermaine Carter, Tate Davis, Reggie Ragland, seven free agent linebackers for the Cleveland Browns. Only Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, JOK, Jacob Phillips, who had a season-ending knee injury as well, and Tony Fields. Those are the only linebackers that are back. So that is something they will have to address. And they need a cornerback for. Greedy Williams is on his way out. He got replaced by Martin Emerson during the season. They could stick with AJ Green. No, not that AJ Green as CB4, but that's a big question mark now that Greedy is a free agent. And they need a third safety. Ronnie Harrison, free agent. Now they could replace him directly with Anthony Bell, an undrafted free agent from last year's class. But these are the moves that the Browns need to make, which in all honesty, you'd think that the Browns would probably need more, considering all they gave up for Deshaun Watson having no cap space. But they've got a fair amount of starters. But how far does that go? How good is this starting offense? When we look at it, when I share my screen with you, yes, there's not a whole lot of needs per se where it's they must fill this hole. This is a glaring need on the offense other than center. But at the same time, does anything really wow you here? There we go. Starting offense. So Nick Chubb, obviously, he's elite. But at wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he had a mini breakout. He played a lot better with Deshaun Watson. I'm excited to see him continue to develop. But he's still a project. He's still not there. Amari Cooper's great, but he's inconsistent. But he folds against top coverage. That's just something Amari Cooper has always done throughout his career. And then David Bell. David Bell's got to figure it out in the slot. Rookie third-round pick. We liked Michael Woods as well, who was a fifth-round pick for the Browns last year. So there's potential. There's upside, but it feels a lot like after DeAndre Hopkins left Houston, if I'm being honest. I don't know. It feels like Deshaun Watson needs more help, considering what we saw at the end of last year. Now, he does have a strong offensive line. Left tackle Jedrick Wills, Pro Bowler Jack Conklin, all pros and Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller at the guards. And Nick Harris, if he can come back at center, that is an upgrade. So they're fine. They're in a fine position, but not spectacular. And the defense really not spectacular. I know the secondary emerged. Martin Emerson broke out. Greg Newsom, he is a emerging star. Denzel Ward's getting older. They have nothing at the linebacker position. This is an area that will be exploited early and often, especially because there's no strong pass rush from the edge. Clowney's a free agent, and from the middle because Taven Bryan's a free agent. So while this Browns team doesn't have a lot of a lot of absolute necessity needs, other than linebacker is an absolute must, everything else is kind of, well, you should address that. You should address edge rusher. You got in-house candidates, but you need more. You should address defensive tackle, but you need more. You should address offensive line depth. You should add to your pass catching core. There's a lot of shoulds that this Cleveland Browns team could do. And so while I do want to be clear, there are not a lot of must-make moves for this Browns team. They are not they're not on the precipice like owner Jimmy Haslam wants them to be, especially if Deshaun Watson plays as poorly as he did last year. Now, maybe he figures it out. Maybe a full offseason with the team, getting to throw with Amari Cooper, Michael Woods, David Bell, Donovan Peoples-Jones all offseason. Maybe that helps, but I have to be honest. I think Jimmy Haslam is going to be disappointed when his team misses the playoffs again. And I really hope he doesn't take out his own stupidity in this trade on Kevin Stefanski and fire him. Good luck to the Cleveland Browns, and I'm sorry that you're stuck with Jimmy Haslam.